Welcome back to Talk Tickers. Ready for another deep dive?
Always, let's do it.
Awesome. Today we're taking a good look at Beyond Meat's Q3 earnings call.
Beyond Meat. I'm really curious to see how they did this quarter. They've had
Definitely been a bit of a roller coaster ride for them, right?
Yeah, definitely a roller coaster. But this quarter, they've got a pretty interesting story to tell, I think.
So the big thing is that Beyond Meat is back to growth. Their first year-over-year revenue increase since Q1 of 2022.
Wow, really?
Yep. Revenue came in at $81 million. That's a 7.6% jump.
Okay. That's not just a little bump. That could be a sign that things are really turning around for them.
Exactly. And it's interesting how they pulled this off. They actually raised prices and cut back on those trade discounts.
You'd think that would maybe push customers away.
Right. But actually, they had a 15.8% increase in net revenue per pound. People are willing to pay a premium for Beyond Meat.
So it seems like they're not just trying to compete on price anymore. They're going for that premium, health-conscious spot in the market, and it seems like it's working.
It really does. Now, let's talk profitability. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. Gotta see those green numbers.
Well, their gross margin for Q3 hit 17.7%, up from, get this, negative 9.6% in the same quarter last year.
Yeah.
It's their highest since Q3 2021.
Wow. That is a huge jump. So they're keeping a lot more of every dollar they make now, which definitely puts them on the right path to profitability.
Definitely a big turnaround. So how did they pull this off?
Well, the pricing strategy we talked about is a big part of it, but they've also been really focused on cutting costs. Operating expenses are down to a 4-year low at $45.2 million.
So they're leaner and more efficient. It's like they've completely streamlined everything.
Yeah, exactly. They've got that cost discipline down, and combined with their smart pricing, well, it's a powerful combination.
Definitely. Now let's dive into their products. The launch of Beyond 4, their new Beyond Burger, seems to be doing really well.
Yeah, I've heard good things. What's different about Beyond 4?
They've shifted to healthier ingredients, like using avocado oil instead of some of the not-so-good fats.
So they're really leaning into that clean label thing. It makes sense. Consumers want to know what's in their food.
Yeah, and Beyond Meat's being very transparent, explaining their whole process.
It's a good strategy. They're building trust and showing they're not hiding anything.
Right. And it's not just burgers. They've launched other products, like the Beyond Sun Sausage, with a clean label and 12 grams of protein.
Okay. Not bad. Anything else?
Get this. They're even developing a whole muscle steak line.
Whoa, a steak. How are they doing that?
They're using mycelium, the root structure of mushrooms.
Now that is innovative.
Right.
Sounds like they're really trying to push the boundaries in plant-based meat.
Yeah, it's like they're not just trying to make veggie burgers anymore. They're aiming to make plant-based meat that can really compete with the taste and variety of regular meat.
That's a pretty ambitious goal.
It is. So let's look at their different sales channels. They've got U.S. retail, U.S. food service, international retail, and international food service.
Okay, let's break it down. How did each channel do?
U.S. retail and international retail are looking good, but U.S. food service is still a little behind. Restaurants seem to be slower to adopt plant-based options than grocery stores.
Yeah, I could see that. It's easier for individual shoppers to choose plant-based, but restaurants have to cater to a whole range of tastes.
Exactly. But the biggest challenge seems to be in international food service.
Oh, what's happening there?
They had some inventory issues with a big QSR customer, which hurt their international sales.
The mysterious QSR. They didn't name names on the call, did they?
Nope, kept that one under wraps.
Yep.
But it definitely sounds like this hiccup has slowed down their international growth plans a bit.
Okay, but it seems like just a temporary setback. What else is happening internationally?
Well, they've made some big moves in Europe, especially in Germany. They finally got past those regulatory hurdles and entered the retail market there.
That's big. Germany's a key market in Europe.
Definitely. And they also partnered with McDonald's in France to launch McPlant Nuggets in over 1,500 restaurants.
Wow, that's awesome. McDonald's is a global powerhouse. If that partnership works out, it could open doors to other international markets.
Absolutely. All right, before we get to our fun, this is not financial advice segment, let's touch on their balance sheet. Looks like they're still working on making it stronger.
Sure. What's the latest there?
They're focused on improving their balance sheet and are planning to raise more liquidity with their ATM program by the end of the year.
Hold on, for those of us who don't speak Wall Street, what's an ATM program?
Haha, good question. It's an at-the-market offering. Basically, it lets them gradually sell shares of their stock directly on the open market. It's a way to raise money without doing a big formal offering.
So they're kind of like slowly dripping shares into the market to get more cash.
You got it. And they're also considering a bigger balance sheet restructuring in 2025. So they're really thinking long-term about their financial health.
It definitely shows they're serious about creating a stable and successful business.
They've given us a lot to think about, that's for sure. This earnings call was packed with info, ready to have some fun and come up with a crazy trade idea based on what we've learned.
You know I am. Let's put on our speculative hats and see what we can come up with.
Awesome. But before we go wild, remember everyone, this is just for fun. We're not financial advisors, so please, this is not financial advice.
Right. This is all purely hypothetical. Don't make any investment decisions based on our crazy ideas.
Okay, good. Now let's get creative.
Okay, so Beyond Meat's going all in on healthier premium products. What kind of trade idea can we cook up based on that?
Ooh, yeah, time to put on those Wall Street thinking caps, right? What you got?
All right, so imagine this. We go long on Beyond Meat. Basically, we're betting that they're going to keep growing, this isn't a fluke, and that people will keep wanting those premium plant-based products.
Makes sense so far. But to make this a real trade, we got to have something to balance out that long position, don't we?
Yep, you got it. And to really make this interesting, we're going to go a little bit against the grain here. We're going to pair that Beyond Meat long position with a short position in a traditional meat producer.
Hold on, you're talking about betting against a big meat company. Now we're talking. It's like a classic David versus Goliath story.
Ah.
The plant-based underdog taking on the meat industry giant. Okay, I'm hooked. But which meat company are we shorting?
Well, we need to pick a company that's maybe a little behind the times, one that's still really focused on those less healthy, fattier meats that Beyond Meat's moving away from.
So we're looking for a company that's stuck in its old ways, not really keeping up with what consumers want these days.
I think I know just the one: Tyson Foods.
Tyson Foods, interesting choice. Why them?
Well, they're a huge player in the meat industry, but they haven't really jumped on the plant-based train. I mean, they've tried a little bit, but their main thing is still those classic kind of unhealthy meat products. Yeah, and Tyson's been having some trouble lately. I could see how focusing on traditional meat could hurt them as people look for healthier and more sustainable food.
Exactly. Plus, there's the whole ethical and environmental thing, right?
Yeah.
Beyond Meat talks a lot about sustainability, and they have endorsements from health organizations, which Tyson doesn't really have.
Okay, so our trade is starting to take shape. We're basically betting that people will keep moving away from traditional meat and towards those plant-based options.
And not just vegans and vegetarians. We're talking about everyone who's trying to eat less meat and find healthier choices.
Right. This trade is all about those big trends we're seeing. People are more health conscious, more environmentally aware, and definitely more open to plant-based food now.
So to recap our totally reckless, not financial advice trade idea, we're buying Beyond Meat because we think they're going to keep growing and doing well with their premium products.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're shorting Tyson Foods because we think their focus on traditional meat will drag them down.
Of course, this is all just speculation. Tyson could suddenly become a plant-based giant. Beyond Meat could falter. Anything could happen.
Exactly. This is just a thought experiment, just a way to play around with what we're seeing in the market.
Right. Just a fun way to think about how these companies might perform in the future.
But seriously, everyone, this is just us messing around. Don't make any investment choices based on our goofy ideas.
All right, back to reality. What were your big takeaways from Beyond Meat's performance this quarter?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think they've made some really impressive moves. The return to growth, the focus on premium, the cost cutting. Those are all good signs. But the big question is, can they keep it up? Can they keep this momentum going?
That's the big question, isn't it? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Beyond Meat's story isn't over. They've gotten through some rough times, they're changing with what people want, and they're still a major player in plant-based meat.
I agree. They've shown they can adapt, and they're definitely keeping things interesting. This earnings call gave us a lot to think about.
Absolutely. It's a really interesting story.
Speaking of things to think about, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a question.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Hit me with it.
Well, we've talked about how well Beyond Meat did this quarter, but do you think they can keep this up long term and become consistently profitable? What are the biggest challenges and opportunities for them in the future?
That's the million-dollar question. There are definitely challenges ahead, like competition, consumers changing their minds, and the economy doing its own thing. But there are also huge opportunities. Plant-based is still growing fast, and Beyond Meat's in a great spot to take advantage of that.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It really is. And remember, everyone, this is just the beginning of us looking at Beyond Meat. We'll be back with more deep dives and analysis in future episodes.
Thanks for tuning in to Talk Tickers. We'll see you next time.
So looking back, what really stood out to you from this Beyond Meat earnings call?
I think it's got to be that shift to premium products. It's a big change from their old strategy of trying to match the price of regular meat.
Yeah, and it seems to be working. People are happy to pay more for Beyond Meat because they see it as a higher quality, healthier option.
Definitely. It's not just about being plant-based anymore. It's about being the best, tastiest, and healthiest choice out there.
Right. So can they keep this up? That's the question.
It is the question, isn't it? It's getting more competitive all the time, right?
Oh, yeah. New companies are popping up everywhere, and the existing ones are getting better, too.
And we can't forget about the big traditional meat companies. They're starting to get serious about plant-based alternatives. Like Tyson, they're already in the game, and I'm sure others will follow.
Yeah, Beyond Meat's got competition coming from all directions. To stay on top, they need to keep innovating, coming up with new products, and finding ways to reach new customers.
They're definitely not sitting still. Remember that whole muscle steak they're working on with mycelium?
Oh, yeah. If they can pull that off, it could be huge. Imagine being able to get a plant-based steak that tastes just like a real one.
That would be a game changer. Plus, it would open up a whole new market for them. Steaks are a huge part of the meat industry. If they can make a killer plant-based steak, that's a massive new revenue stream.
Exactly. And don't forget about their plans to expand internationally. Getting into Germany is a big win, and their partnership with McDonald's is a big deal, too.
Yeah, that McPlant Nuggets launch in France is interesting. McDonald's is everywhere, and if that partnership does well, it could mean Beyond Meat gets into McDonald's all over the world.
That would be massive. Having Beyond Meat on the menu at thousands of McDonald's, it could really make them a mainstream choice.
It would be a huge win for Beyond Meat, and I think a win for the planet, too.
Yeah. The more people choose plant-based, the better it is for the environment.
Okay, so bottom line, is Beyond Meat a good investment?
Well, we can't give financial advice here, but based on this earnings call, they definitely have potential. They're growing, innovating, and writing some big trends.
But they've got those challenges too, right? Tough competition and still working on that balance sheet.
It's complicated, but one thing's for sure, this isn't the end of the Beyond Meat story. They're definitely a company to watch.
We'll be keeping an eye on them, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Beyond Meat's Q3 earnings call, everyone.
Hope you enjoyed it.
And remember, this is just the start of our exploration. There's always more to learn and more to talk about. So stick with Talk Tickers for more deep dives, market insights, and fun trade ideas in future episodes.
We'll see you next time.
Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep your taste buds adventurous.